Hello everyone. How are you all doing? Good. Day one, reInvent, we are back. So last year when I was here at reInvent, many of you actually asked how can we stay ahead of emerging threats. You asked for simpler security without compromising on protections. But there is always this thin margin because if you oversimplify, you can potentially increase security risk because one missed rule on your firewall policy can make your network vulnerable. And this is the challenge that our customers face on daily basis. You ask for protections that are dynamic, and we heard and worked backwards from there. And today we are going to talk about some of the new features in AWS Network Firewall that helps you keep your workload secure without adding additional complexity or network overhead. My name is Amish Shah. I am the product manager for AWS Network Firewall service, and I'll be touching upon some of these new capabilities that keeps your workloads secure within your VPC and help you maintain compliance and business requirements. Before diving deep into what we have launched, just wanted to give a brief overview of AWS Network Firewall service. AWS Network Firewall allows you to easily deploy essential network protections on your VPC workloads. It is a fully managed firewall service, which means you don't have to worry about deploying the firewall infrastructure or the ongoing software upgrades on the firewall appliances. They are done dynamically for you. It is highly reliable and scalable. You get up to 100 gigabits per second per availability zone within the firewall. It also offers a built-in stateful inspection engine. So you can write rules based on IP addresses, applications, fully qualified domain names. You can even write custom rules to match against specific types of TCP headers. So all these capabilities are available to you natively within Network Firewall, and it is fully integrated with Firewall Manager service. So you can deploy consistent security across all your VPCs, across all your AWS accounts using the Firewall Manager service. Let's look at some of the common use cases where customers use AWS Network Firewall. Starting with ingress filtering. This is where customers like to prevent intrusion using stateful inspection capabilities, protocol detection, and IDS IPS capabilities. Then we have egress filtering. This is one of our most common use case where customers have workloads that are trying to reach out to the internet, either talking to GitHub. Once you allow those connections, it can potentially open a back channel for an attacker to add a malware and exfiltrate data. Network Firewall monitors these outbound connections and helps you protect any connections with the command and control centers. So you can apply policies such that your workloads can only talk to authorized destinations. This is very common use case for our regulated customers. And finally, VPC to VPC security or east-west protections. Here customers want to prevent lateral movement of traffic and create logical boundaries between their VPC workloads. Again, very common in regulated industries like banking, financial services. So depending on your use cases, you create your network firewall policy and write rules to protect traffic. But writing rules and managing them at scale is one of the key challenges that we have heard from you guys. And that's where we have launched a bunch of simplifications that gives you that protection that you need without adding operational overhead on your teams. So I want to talk about some of the enhancements in the threat intelligence area that you get from AWS Network Firewall. First, I want to talk about active threat defense. This is an AWS managed rule that is available to you on AWS Network Firewall. The threat intelligence generated using the Amazon Madpot infrastructure. Madpot is our global fleet of digital decoys or honeypots. Basically, they act as AWS services, but they pretend, or to an outsider it looks like a vulnerable service. An attacker will then try to exploit that vulnerability, and that is what we use to understand the tactics, techniques and procedures used by an attacker, and then curate rules based on that threat intelligence. So Madpod threat intelligence is today used to protect AWS infrastructure globally, but you asked us to leverage that unique infrastructure and threat intelligence on to protect your own workloads. And active threat defense is our response to that. Using active threat defense, you get curated rules from AWS security experts these rules have indicators of compromises and signatures for active threats. We constantly keep on updating these rules every 10 minutes so that if there are active attacks, those rules are already there in your network firewall policy. Also, if the attacks are no longer active, those rules are cleaned up. So you always get up-to-date rule sets. It is centrally integrated with guard duty. So if you are using guard duty, you get central visibility into emerging and active threats. And finally, the rules are constantly updated, as I said, so you don't have to worry about writing those rules or writing a custom Lambda based solution to keep these rules up to date. Beyond active threat defense, I'm super excited to announce the availability of AWS partner managed rules on AWS Network Firewalls. This new enhancement allows you to easily leverage threat intelligence from AWS marketplace partners such as Checkpoint, Fortinet, Infloblocks, Lumen, Rapid7, Trend Micro and ThreatStop. Why does this matter? Now you as a customer get threat intelligence from top AWS marketplace partners directly with just few clicks, and you can use them on AWS Network Firewall to secure inbound and outbound traffic from your VPCs. These rules are constantly updated by our partners, so you always get proactive protection against emerging and active threats. And finally, these are deployed in minutes. Like, you don't have to figure out how to bring in third-party threat intelligence and build your own solution. They are natively available to you from the network firewall console. This was one of the most sought after requests from many of our customers. While AWS offered AWS managed rules, which are free of charge, and you had the ability to bring in third-party threat intelligence to network firewall, but you wanted us to make it simpler. With this launch, we are making that process simpler, where you can easily add the partner managed rules from the network firewall console to your network firewall policy. You can now see all the list of available rule groups, what each of these rule group does. You can subscribe to these rule groups and then add them to your network firewall policy, all from the console itself. So you don't have to do back and forth between marketplace and network firewall or the third-party platforms. So these managed rules are constantly updated by our partners. As I said, we have 7 partners as part of the launch announcement. So you always get proactive protection, you get the best of breed threat intelligence, and you choose the rule sets that are important for your business case. We have carefully selected these partners based on their expertise and their proven track record. So let's look into some details on what each of these partners bring with their threat intelligence on network firewall. So Checkpoint Software, they are one of the global leaders in cybersecurity. They provide a wide range of security solutions to government and businesses. If you remember, they pioneered with stateful firewalls. Now they offer AI-driven, cloud-delivered security solutions. The Checkpoint managed rules for network firewalls are expertly curated rules from threat cloud AI experts. These rules enhance protections against hundreds of common vulnerabilities and exposures, CVEs, as well as they have curated rules to protect your workloads from OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities. So you always get holistic coverage across different types of exposures and vulnerabilities without you trying to manually manage these rule sets. Next we have Fortinet. So Fortinet is again one of the global cybersecurity leaders. They are a trusted name in next-gen firewall space as well. They are bringing their AI-driven threat intelligence natively into AWS Network Firewall. The Fortinet managed IPS rules for AWS Network Firewall offers protections from malwares and command and control threats. So you get proactive security before any breach that can occur in your network, because Fortinet will constantly update these rules. They are offering these managed rules based on their AI-driven threat intelligence, which is currently serving hundreds of thousands of Fortinet customers worldwide. You are now directly getting those same threat intelligence for your AWS workloads. These are coming from FortiGuard Labs, as I said. So again, you as a customer, it's like few clicks and you get the managed rule sets from Fortinet. So if you are using them on your on-premise deployments and are migrating to cloud, you can continue using the same threat intelligence from Fortinet on your AWS Network Firewall solution. And finally, they also help you maintain compliance using AWS best practices. Fortinet IPS rules provides PCI DSS compliance and other compliance that requires inline inspection for regulated workloads. Next we have InfloBlocks. InfloBlocks unites networking, security and cloud with their protective DDI platform that gives enterprise resiliency and agility. Trusted by 13,000 plus customers, majority of Fortune 100 customers and emerging innovators, they easily offer security and automate critical networking services for these customers. So customers don't have to worry about deploying these services. They can move fast without worrying about compromises. The InfloBlocks managed rule for AWS Network Firewall is powered by their predictive DNS threat intelligence. At InfloBlocks scale, which is 70 billion DNS analyzed every day, 4 million plus IOCs detected every month, 90% of detection pre-DNS query, and 0.0002% of false positive rate, you get high impact rules with low noise, easily available within your network firewall policy. So this is one of the managed rules that I'm very excited about, because you can easily block, say, newly registered domains, for example, or domains that are known to be high risk by just a single click by enabling this rule set in your network firewall policy. Then we have Lumen. Lumen is a global communication service provider that offers a variety of networking security services across different customers. Their Defender managed rule for network firewall brings proactive Black Lotus Labs threat intelligence directly into your AWS environments. Black Lotus Labs identifies and neutralizes dangerous emerging attacks based on the information that they have from their global backbone network. So these rules are also available natively into Network Firewall console. Then we have Rapid7. They are one of the leaders in the threat detection and response space. They offer products such as vulnerability risk management, active persistent threats, MDR capabilities, etc. They actually offer different types of protections against active threats, as well as two main categories: active persistent threats. This is where we have protections against state-sponsored sophisticated threat actors, and the second category that they offer is ransomware and cybercrime. These are the threats that are motivated by financial gains. Right? So you have protections against the APT threats as well as the ransomware threats using Rapid7's threat intel rules. Trend Micro, another global company in the CNAPP space, one of the leaders, they are bringing their threat intelligence, which is the Trend Zero Day Initiative, ZDI, bringing in that threat intelligence capabilities directly into AWS Network Firewall. So with Trend Micro, you now get a simplified cloud IPS solution on network firewall. Trend Micro's threat managed rules protects your workloads from malwares, active CVEs, as well as emerging threats. Again, the key theme here is you now have all these curated list of managed rules which you can quickly select and apply to your network firewall policy directly from the console itself. So you don't have to worry about constantly updating your firewall rules. These are done dynamically for you. You don't have to worry about any misconfigurations which can potentially create a security risk to your networks. Finally, we have ThreatStop. ThreatStop is also one of the cloud-based threat intelligence platform company. They expertise in automating threats into security policies. So they look at some of the threat data and convert them into rules which are then enforced on your routers, firewalls, your DNS servers and endpoints. ThreatStop not only prevents your workloads from malwares, phishing and active threats, but they also specialize in offering curated rules for OFAC and ITAR sanctions. So if you are worried about OFAC sanctions, you can now quickly use these managed rules from ThreatStop and meet your compliance requirements from these sanctions. So this brings us to the end of our session. I just want to give you a generic guidelines on how you should think about your network firewall policy. Typically, it's a combination of a allow list and a deny list of rules. To help you create that deny list, we have managed rules, both from AWS as well as from our partners that you can now easily apply to your policy. Then you can use other features like GeoIP filtering to block traffic going to certain countries. You can use stateful inspection and threat signature rules on network firewall. So that's how you create your deny list. And then you can start with a generous allowed list where you can allow certain trusted high-level, top-level domains. Eventually work towards building a narrow allowed list of your trusted destination. And we have some features that can help you build that allow list. If you like to learn more about partner managed rules, we have a blog published that goes into more details and gives you all the configuration steps that you need to know. If you want to learn anything about AWS Network Firewall, talk to your account team. They can always schedule a call with us. We can talk about best practices, how you can optimize your architecture, optimize cost, as well as we can discuss roadmap. So with that, thank you so much for your time, and you guys have a good rest of your day. Thank you.